Imagine standing in the heart of ancient Rome, surrounded by 40,000 roaring voices. The air is thick with dust, tension, and the echo of history itself. Before you rises an architectural masterpiece, a monument so massive, so powerful, that it became the stage for the greatest spectacles the world has ever seen. But behind the glory, behind the shining marble and the cheers of the crowd, lies a darker truth, a truth of ambition, control, and an empire desperate to entertain at any cost. Today, we'll uncover the secrets behind the Colosseum, how it was built, who fought within its walls, and how it became both a symbol of Rome's strength and its hunger for power. So, if you think you already know the story of the Colosseum, think again. Because this isn't just a monument, it's a mirror reflecting the very soul of the Roman Empire. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, if you could step back in time for just one day in ancient Rome, what would you want to witness inside the Colosseum? When Emperor Vespasian ordered the construction of the Colosseum around 70 AD, Rome was recovering from chaos, rebellion, fire, and political unrest. The empire needed more than just stability. It needed a symbol of rebirth, of control, and of divine power. And so, on the grounds of what was once Emperor Nero's private lake, a place of luxury and excess, the Flavian amphitheater began to rise. It was more than a construction project. It was a message. Rome belongs to the people again. Thousands of laborers, architects, and artisans worked day and night, using more than 100,000 cubic meters of travertine stone. No modern cranes, no machines, only human strength, ropes, and sheer determination. The Colosseum was designed with genius precision, a structure that could hold up to 50,000 spectators, enter and exit within minutes, and even host elaborate shows involving wild creatures, water reenactments, and epic battles. But what truly made the Colosseum a marvel wasn't just its size, it was its purpose. This was where emperors could showcase their generosity, power, and control over the empire. Every stone, every arch, was built not only to impress, but to dominate. By the time it opened under Emperor Titus in 80 AD, the Colosseum wasn't just a building, it was the beating heart of Roman entertainment. The empire had created something eternal, a stage for legends, glory, and spectacle that would echo through history. They were called gladiators, the undisputed heroes of the Colosseum. But behind the glory, the cheers, and the shining armor lay a world of discipline, fear, and ambition. Most of them came from the farthest corners of the empire. Prisoners of war, enslaved men, or those who had fallen into debt. Yet once inside the ludus, the gladiator school, they all shared the same fate: to fight, to entertain, and to survive. Their training was brutal and precise. Every movement, every strike, every defense was carefully studied. They trained under former fighters known as doctors, who transformed ordinary men into living symbols of Roman power. And here's the twist: not all gladiators were forced into this life. Some volunteered. Fame, wealth, and admiration tempted many free men to enter the arena. In a society obsessed with honor and spectacle, the Colosseum offered a stage to achieve immortality. The audience knew their favorite fighters by name. They painted their faces on walls, collected small statues of them, and even gambled on their performances. To the Romans, these men were more than entertainers. They were legends in the flesh. Each time a gladiator stepped onto the sand, he carried not just a weapon, but the weight of thousands of eyes, and the promise that his story would echo far beyond the arena. When the sun rose over the Colosseum, the city of Rome awoke with excitement. The streets filled with chants, music, and anticipation, because today, the arena would come alive. The games were more than entertainment. They were a political weapon, a tool used by emperors to distract, impress, and control the people. The motto was simple: bread and circuses. Feed the crowd, entertain them, and they will not question your rule. Each event followed a careful choreography. Mornings often began with exotic animal displays: lions, elephants, leopards, even crocodiles brought from distant lands. The Romans admired the empire's power reflected in these spectacles of nature. Afternoons belonged to the gladiators. The crowd would chant their favorite names as the fighters entered, adorned with armor and tradition. Trumpets blared. The emperor raised his hand. Silence fell. The spectacle began. But the arena was more than a place of struggle. It was a stage for storytelling. Entire naval battles were recreated by flooding the arena floor. Famous wars were reenacted with hundreds of performers and intricate sets. The Colosseum wasn't just a building, it was the ancient world's ultimate theater. For the audience, it was pure euphoria, a blend of fear, admiration, and thrill. For the empire, it was perfect propaganda. Every roar of the crowd echoed the message: Rome is eternal. Rome is unstoppable. The Colosseum was more than a monument. It was a message carved in stone. A message from the emperors to every citizen of Rome. We rule not just through power, but through spectacle. Every event inside those massive walls was carefully orchestrated propaganda. The emperors, from Vespasian to Titus and beyond, used the games to win the hearts of the people. When times were hard, they gave the public free food, music, and days of grand entertainment. The strategy worked. The citizens adored their rulers, who appeared not as distant figures of authority, but as generous providers of joy and excitement. The Colosseum became a bridge between the throne and the streets. And yet beneath the cheers and the excitement, there was manipulation. The games were a distraction, a way to shift attention away from political corruption, wars, and the growing divide between rich and poor. Roman poets of the time saw it clearly. They called it panem et circenses, bread and circuses. As long as the people were entertained and fed, they would not rise against the empire. So when the crowd roared, it wasn't only for the fighters. It was also for the emperor, the living embodiment of Rome's glory. Each spectacle was a performance of loyalty, a reminder that in the empire, power was theater, and theater was power. For centuries, the Colosseum stood as the heart of Roman life, its walls echoing with cheers, its sands drenched in spectacle. But like every empire, Rome's glory began to fade. As the centuries passed, the games grew less frequent. The empire was changing, facing invasions, political chaos, and the slow crumble of its once unstoppable power. The costs of maintaining the grand arena became too heavy, and the spirit that once filled it began to fade into silence. Nature, too, reclaimed its ground. Earthquakes shattered its upper levels, fires blackened its walls, and scavengers stripped away its marble and iron to build new monuments. The once proud symbol of Roman dominance became a shadow of its past, a ghost of stone overlooking a changing world. By the Middle Ages, the Colosseum was no longer a place of spectacle but of survival. Its ruins became shelter for merchants, monks, and even small communities. The arena that had once hosted emperors now echoed with the footsteps of pilgrims and travelers seeking relics of a forgotten age. And yet, through all the ruin, it never truly disappeared. Even broken, the Colosseum refused to die. It became a silent witness to time itself, standing through the rise and fall of kingdoms, revolutions, and centuries of change. Its scars became its strength, its silence, its voice. Centuries have passed. Empires have risen and fallen, but there it stands, the Colosseum, defying time, weather, and war. Today, millions of people from around the world walk through its ancient arches, their footsteps echoing where emperors once stood. They come not for the games, but for the story of human ambition, creation, and survival. The Colosseum has transformed from a stage of spectacle into a monument of endurance. It reminds us that power fades, glory crumbles, but legacy endures. Architects still marvel at its design, a blueprint of innovation that inspired the very concept of the modern stadium. Historians see it as a mirror of Rome itself, magnificent, flawed, and unforgettable. And for those who stand within its shadow, there's a feeling, almost spiritual, that connects past and present. The Colosseum is no longer just Rome's monument. It belongs to all of us, to every civilization that ever dreamed of greatness. As the sun sets behind its arches, the golden light touching each scarred stone, one truth becomes clear. The Colosseum is not just a relic of history. It is the heartbeat of eternity. From the roar of the crowds to the whisper of the wind through broken stone, the Colosseum has witnessed everything: glory, power, chaos, and rebirth. It began as a gift to the people, a symbol of Rome's might. It became a theater of human courage, fear, and triumph. And today, it stands as one of the most powerful reminders of how history shapes us, and how we, in turn, shape history. Every scar on its walls tells a story. Every arch holds the memory of a civilization that reached for eternity, and, in many ways, found it. The Colosseum is not just an ancient ruin, it's a lesson carved in stone that even when time erases empires, their stories remain. So the next time you look at a photo of the Colosseum, remember this. It's not just a monument. It's a mirror reflecting everything humanity has ever been. Powerful, flawed, and forever reaching for greatness. If you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more stories that bring history to life, and tell us in the comments, what part of the Colosseum's story amazed you the most? Because history isn't just about the past, it's about us and the stories we continue to tell.